In this video, we'll discuss about what is meant by this phrasal replacements. So let us dive into this topic. So if you look at this topic called as a phrasal replacement, the other name for this here is the sentence replacement. So that is also there. But here the topic we are calling it as phrasal replacement is the reason is because most of the time, if it is a sentence replacement or phrasal replacement, usually the topic is the question is on phrases. That's the point here. Okay. So keeping this point in mind, here if you look at here, let me first of all say what do you mean by a phrase. Okay. So a phrase, or we can call it as a phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs. Okay. So when you talk about this topic here, phrase or phrasal verbs, here if you look at here, what is the actual meaning of this one is the phrasal verbs is basically preposition plus verb. Preposition plus verb here. Okay. So keeping this point in mind here, so what is a preposition plus verb? So this verb is basically you can call it something as a action, and a preposition is a word which is used to join words. Okay, some simple definition for you to remember. I am writing it here. Okay. So if you keep this point in mind, phrasal plus this one here, that is a words and join. Okay. Now, if you look at this topic here, the preposition words that itself is have a entirely different meaning, whereas the verbs has a entirely different meaning. But if you join this one here, okay, when you join this, you will get a different meaning. So this meaning is basically not something related to this, not something related to this. Okay. So you will get an entirely different meaning here. Okay. So that is what generally it's called as a phrasal verbs. It's called as a phrasal verbs. So for this, what you need to do is you need to understand, first of all, the prepositions plus verbs. First of all, you must have very good basics. First, keep that point in mind. So keeping this point in mind, now let us dive into this topic here. That is a sentence replacement, or also is called as a phrasal replacement. So usually, basically what is so the key question type generally will be there is to test your grammar skills, or English grammar skills, and vocabulary skills, then sentence structure, and your idiomatic usage. So these many varieties generally you will be see this the model questions. Okay. So basically this exam, this type of question is basically is to test you that whether you have good grammatic skills, and also you have this idiomatic usage. Idiomatic usage means generally what can say, so instead of saying something directly, you write sentence or you talk about it in an indirect fashion. So it's basically like a sarcastic, or else you can call it as a, so explaining this the phrasal verbs is the right word for you. Okay. So keeping this point in mind, here if you look at the questions, so the questions are basically is to test your grammatic skills. So if you look at this points one by points here, so for this generally what you should do is first point is, as we know, everybody knows that you have to read the question very neatly. First point. Okay. So read the question clearly and carefully. Okay. And identify the core issue in the sentence. What is the core issue in the sentence? First point. Then what you should do is you have to spot the error. Okay. So what is this error? So what is the error is, say for example, whether you have a grammar error, okay, or else you have tense error, or else word usage, or else idiomatic usage, which is the right, in which area this error is generally is going to occur. So that you need to identify. That is the second point. Okay. Then we need to identify, eliminate obvious wrong answers. So this is generally the another way here. So if you are unable to do this properly, so this is another option here. So first, after identifying it and you don't know the right answer, then the next option is, the third strategy is that is, you need to eliminate the what are the answers that are not suitable, that you can eliminate it. Okay, so this is called as a elimination technique. Then what you need to do is you need to substitute each option mentally, and then just put it, this answer, plug it in the main answer, and then check whether that is the right answer. Like that, you just in the mind you try. That is one thing. Okay, then if you not there, then okay, but main point here is do not overcorrect. Means for the sake of correction, don't correct it. So if you are good at that exact grammar, if you are good at right idiomatic usage, if you are good at right sentences, okay, that preposition, phrasal verbs, all those things, just you are already familiar and you are 100% right about it, then only you try to solve the problem. Otherwise, don't do it, because so everything looks like normal there. Okay, so but the answer you might, the bubble is a wrong answer. So please keep this point in mind. So that is a even though that's a last point, that's an important point. So please keep that point in mind. Then if you look at the sentence here, for example, just look at the model question paper on this, just one model phrasal replacement models. Okay, first one is a grammar based replacement. So in a grammar based replacement, if you look at here, so generally the questions will be on a subject verb agreement, tense consistency, or voice or active voice or inactive voice, then conditionals, okay, then verb forms, then prepositions, articles. So like that, generally the question will be there. Here, look at this. On this, just one question here, just one question. So what is this question? She do not know how to swim. As I said, it's a she, right? So she is basically what? Third person singular. Okay, when a third person singular is coming, the verb do will be converted into does. Okay, so do, not this one. Okay, so where this do is correct, the do is correct for first person, like this. Okay, is correct for you, both singular and plural, singular and plural, then I, we, they. For all these things, the do is correct. Okay, but not for he. Okay, for he, she, and it, third person singular, do will not carry. Okay, I do, it do not, it do. So like that you should also, he do not, like that you should also. He does not know how to swim. She does not know how to swim. It does not know how to swim, like that. Okay, so what is the answer here? So A would be the right answer here. So here A does not know how to swim. So don't know all these things, it's not a right answer. So that's the answer here. Okay, then the next one is a second model, that is the idiom or phrase correction. Only idiom correction or phrase correction you should do. So here for this, yeah, you should have very good idiomatic usage capacity. So for that you need to do some practice. Okay, so use so many number of times, as many times as possible, and also follow our channel. So from the channel, actually we will be uploading some idioms in YouTube shorts, so that also will be helpful for you. Okay, and idiomatic expressions and phrasal verbs. Okay, so these two here, if you look at here, he was bent in proving his point. Okay, he was bent in proving his point. Okay, so here first identify the verb and the preposition. Okay, so first one is here, he was bent. So this is the verb. Okay, in is a preposition. Okay, then providing, proving. Okay, this is also verb plus ing. Okay, so something is there here, but right, nevertheless, whatever is happening here, just remember this point. So some preposition plus verb is coming, then this becomes a phrasal verbs. Okay, so the meaning is entirely different. So just before also I said here, that is, if it is a phrasal verbs, preposition plus verbs, so individually they have some meaning there, but when you combine that, you will get a different meaning. Okay, so for that reason, what you should do is you have to check this point here. So bent in is basically is not a right way of usage, this one. So look at the answers here: bent on, bent to, bent upon, bent at, no improvement. Okay, so basically here, if you look at this based on practice, I am saying this one. So bent on is the right way of using bent on. Okay, bent on means he was bent on proving his point, means he was saying same thing again and again and again. So he was like stressing. Okay, stressing like that. Okay, so you are on some table, he'll be saying like this, no? So yes, I am right, like that. So that's what the meaning is. Okay, he was bent on proving his point, means he was saying same thing again and again. So everybody said that no, you are not right, please go aside, and just they are keeping him, they are just neglecting him, but he is not letting it go. Okay, so that's what he's saying. Okay, he is bent on saying the same point again and again. Okay, so like that. So this is for this this will be the right answer. Then the next one is the redundancy or word corrections. So wordiness collection. So this one is basically ability to avoid unnecessary or repetitive section. Okay, so look at here, the manager gave a brief summary of the topic. Okay, so what is the manager gave? The manager gave a brief summary of this topic. Okay, so here a brief summary, short summary in brief summarizing, no improvement. Here look at the sentence here, brief summary, manager gave a brief summary. Okay, so something is brief and something is summary, they don't go each other. Brief means what? Very, very clear or detailedly, like point by point they're actually saying. Okay, and summary is what? Outline. Brief is in depth. Okay, and a summary means outline. So here these both are opposites. You are talking about in-depth outline, so there won't be any in-depth outline. So it will be either outline or it will be talking about it. So the manager gave a brief of this topic on the he briefed on this topic. Okay, that's one thing. Or else so this both won't go. So option would be he gave a summary, or if you have something like he briefed on this topic, so that's also one way, right? So there won't be any other, so they don't go in with each other. So brief is the wrong answer here. Okay, so you have to remove the brief. Okay, and then summary is the right answer here. Okay, then the next one. So in this so what actually in this problem, what they're doing is brief and summary. So 2 times actually it is coming. Okay, so 2 times it is coming means, so that brief is also something like a in-depth points, in-depth point to point. You can call this in-depth point to point. Okay, brief. Okay, point to point. So that is also there. So we cannot say that actually these both are opposites. These both not opposites. So this is entirely a different word, entirely different section, and that is entirely a different section. Okay, so either you have to call it as the manager gave a summary of the topic is the right one. If they have been a brief, then that time actually you might have some confusion here, but obviously we have to remove the brief. Okay, so in depth, point to point. Okay, so that all those things. Then the next one is contextual vocabulary based replacement. So in case of contextual and vocabulary based replacements, so look at here. You must replace the underlined phrase. So wherever there is underlined phrase of the fit that fit to the context. So here, the scientist theory was beyond the understanding of the common people. So beyond the understanding. So actually here they should have given this underline here. Beyond the understanding. Okay. So here, over the top of the common people, out of box of common people, above the head of the common people, over the head of the common people, no improvement. So basically beyond the understanding of the common people is somewhat right one. Basically this is also right one, but they are asking to compulsory replace it. They are saying that to replace them. Okay. So here and look at the answers here. So there is no improvement is also one right answer. Okay. No improvement is also right answer. Okay. But look at the answer here. Over the head is also there, and above the head is not right answer. Out of box is not. Over the top is also. So basically what they are trying to say is, so over the head means something. Okay. So something above you is something that you are not able to catch it. Your brain is not able to catch that point. Okay. So your brain is not able to catch that point means basically over the head. Okay. So no improvement is also right. Okay. But here specifically they gave a theme. Completely one theme is coming here. Okay. So over the head of the common people means the common people are unable to understand what this scientist is trying to say. That scientist theory was unable to catch by the common people. So that's the meaning. Then so yeah, multiple errors. So sometimes there will be multiple errors also. So here one or more errors will be there. But in this case, I don't think so. In this case, unless you will not work hard, you cannot succeed. Okay. Here multiple errors in the sense, yeah, verb is also error here, not is also error here. Okay. So there are two errors here, error 1 and error 2. Two errors are there. So here, look at the options here. Unless you will work hard, you cannot succeed. Unless you work hardly, you cannot succeed. Unless you work hard, you cannot succeed. Unless you worked hard, you cannot succeed. Unless, so there is no improvement. So basically, you will not work hard. So this is basically normal language tendency here. Okay. So this is basically good in some other language, but not in English. So unless you work hard, so you have to remove this one and you have to remove this one. So two replacement you should do. Okay. Two corrections are there. Unless you work hard, you cannot succeed. So that's one sentence. Then sometimes there won't be any requirement. Okay. Because don't go for trying to solve everything here. Don't try to be hero. Sometimes there will be any improvement also. Okay. So why there won't be any improvement means here basically this is basically to test your time. Okay. Basically to waste your time. Okay. So that is also there. So unless you are very thorough about the question, please don't go. Okay. That's why I would suggest you that, because the phrasal verbs are generally very, very tough topics. Okay. So you should have very good at English grammar, and also you should learn some phrasal verbs. So at least some basic words, at least you must basic phrasal verbs, at least you must remember for exam. So I would say that. Okay. Then something like this. Okay. Error spot plus replacement combine. Both you have to spot the error and also you have to replace that. So if that is the case, then it is like this. Okay. Look at here. The economic survey is likely to suggest measures of encouraging investments and raising productivity. So the economic survey is likely to suggest, okay, till here, likely to suggest measures. So if you look at properly, till here, it's a simple present. Okay, it is in one tense. Okay, don't worry about which tense it is. It is in one tense. Okay, so I'll call this as a tense in one format. Tense one. Okay, even in numbering also you will forget. Okay, so you can clearly see this is in tense, some tense. Okay, so I will call this one as a tense X. Okay, you don't know the tense, say for example. Okay, now look at here. For encouraging and investment. So here these two is in tense Y. That's continuous tense, but don't worry about whichever it is. Okay, so this is in one tense and that is in another tense. Okay, they are not the same tense. Can you easily understand, right? Why? How you can understand? For a verb they are adding ing, right? Verb plus ing is there. Okay, so here also there is some verb here. Okay, so for verb they have added ing. Okay, so obviously they are not in same tense. Okay, so here you need to join, you need to make sure, so either this is one or that one, any one thing you need to change. Okay, so here if you look at the answers, they have given options only for a Y, to correct Y. Okay, they are asking to correct only Y. So correcting Y, if you look at here, only so to encourage investments and rise, for encouraging investments and rise. Okay, so here look at here, this is one tense and this is another tense. Okay, this is basically bare one, this is in verb one plus ing. So in a single tense it won't come like that. Okay, and here you see this is one and this is one. Okay, but actually already that is the one correction, no? So this is also can't be answer, this also can't be an answer. Okay, this cannot be an answer. Now to encourage an investment rising, so here this is in verb v1 form, this is in verb v plus ing form. So obviously this is also wrong. No improvement, no, there is an improvement there. Okay, so the only option you have here is a v1 form and this is also v1 form. Okay, so obviously here the economic survey is likely to suggest, so the suggest is also v1 form, no? Measures. Okay, so v1 form, so naturally this you have to encourage into v1 form and this one also you have to convert into v1 form. Okay, this is in from here to here you need to convert. Okay, that's the only possibility is here, this one here, likewise you should. Okay, so either if you are unable to do that, so errors, if you can spot the error, then identifying the answer would be very easy, but the goal is to spot the error in phrase replacement. So that's where actually the crux of the problem here is. Okay, so for that reason I would encourage you to read more number of phrasal verbs so that actually you can identify like this questions. Okay, like these models. Okay, that's one thing. Then final one here, so for examination point of view, what you must do is you should identify the subject verb agreement, tense consistency. Okay, so pronoun references, parallelism, so and modifier replacements, then articles and prepositions. So like this all these topics you just have a look at least once at least. Okay, so go through some preparation and then practice as many as possible here. For example, in the subject verb agreement, the list of items okay is on the test. Okay, here basically we are talking about the list. So list is basically singular, so that's the reason why easy has come. Okay, so I went to the store and bought groceries. Okay, and so here the tense consistency is there. Okay, store and bought, so they are in same verb v1 form. So here pronoun references, if you look at here, so store is basically noun here. Okay, I went and bought. Okay, so I went and bought is basically this is a past, v1 v2, here this is v2. Here the pronoun reference here, if you look at, each of the boys has his own, so that pronoun reference we should identify. Then here, okay, then like this parallelism, she is reading, she likes reading, writing and dancing. Okay, so this parallelism, so this comma and also at the last you have to use, and okay, this they are always a parallelism. So like this modifiers replacements. Okay, so running down the streets, he tripped over the, so running down the street, so since you put a comma, so then you can go for the next tense. Okay, you can't combine both. Okay, then articles and prepositions. So she is an honest girl. So why an honest girl? H is actually consonant, no, but H is silent basically. H is silent, so O is a vowel. So that's the reason why she, so vowel, because of the vowel sound you will get a an as an article like this. Okay, we sat on the chair, okay, so the chair means the chair that we are already talking about. So already we have talked about that respect to chair, so that conversation is actually has been continued. So likewise all these things you should be able to understand here. And coming to the point, what I'm trying to say here is in case of a phrasal replacement, so in case of phrasal replacement, first of all you should have very good knowledge in phrasal verbs. So phrasal verbs means prepositions plus verbs, or prepositions plus adjectives, so prepositions plus sometimes nouns. So like this generally what happens is adverbs. Okay, so not only verbs, adjective or adverb. Okay, so you have to take those points also into picture and then learn properly and accordingly. And this exam is basically to test you is grammar test, then vocabulary test, sentence structure, and idiomatic structure. So all those things generally is being tested for you. Okay, and so basically to solve this problem you must have very mean skills in English grammar. That's actually the basic rule. And so that actually the right way of so means try to excel in English grammar as much as possible, and then you can easily attempt this one. So I'm not saying, I'm not making you to get a fear inside you. So what I'm trying to say is I wanted to encourage you to get excel in English grammar, and then so you can get a very good marks in any competition exam, and also you can understand this phrasal replacement topic here. Okay, so that's the detail of this one. So the main aim of this video is to encourage you to read the phrasal verbs as much as possible. So don't neglect that, since because the simple words, please don't neglect it. So read as many as possible and then get familiarized with that usage and then daily usage. So that is basically the English grammar. Okay, so that is you will have a thorough knowledge in that. So that will actually help you in understanding the English language here. Okay, so that's what the basic idea. I hope you understood this video. That is a phrasal replacement topic, and we'll meet again. So please do subscribe to this YouTube channel and press the bell icon. Subscribe it, share it with your friends, and then we'll meet again. Until then, bye.